Hi, I'm Fray Carey, CEO of Social Media Today. We're here in Atlanta hosting the Social ShakeUp, our first inaugural look at the ways that social are shaking up businesses and governments and our lives in general. It's my great pleasure to be talking to Kwanza Hall, City Councilman here in Atlanta, who just this morning proclaimed it Social ShakeUp Days here in the city. Kwanza is also here to talk about social and the millennial generation, and you just came off a panel discussion. How did it go?
Yes, it was great. And again, welcome to Atlanta. We're so glad to be able to celebrate you, and it means a lot to our city to be able to be that jumping off point for a social shakeup.
Well, thank you. It was just the right place to jump, and thanks for being such a warm welcomer.
Yes, you're a great dancer as well.
Well, thank you about that too.
The panel was phenomenal. We had questions ranging from, millennials in the room who were trying to figure out why the baby boomers don't get them, to baby boomers figuring out wondering how to connect directly with the millennials, and then Generation X being that bridge, and I consider myself in Generation X. So it's really good.
Well, so is social the greatest thing for politicians since, dumping in the tidal basin? Or, I mean, what is it a great thing?
It's a game changer. For us, we have to really embrace it. Many still have an aversion to technology and to being authentic, but even more so, transparent. The transparency that social gives you can either be a blessing or a curse. It's a double-edged sword. And I just try to live out loud. And I think those who embrace it, like Cory Booker, of course, President Obama, and many others, get it, and they are able to accelerate using the tools.
But I mean, it cuts both ways, right? I mean,
Yes.
Obviously we have this great example in New York of someone who injudiciously texted, or is there no such thing as bad social media? I mean, is it?
Well, I mean, it depends on what side you're on. If you're on the receiving side, it can be very bad. I mean, let's think about Arab Spring and social justice movements around the country. I mean, and in cases of, disasters, if the wrong type of information gets out there, it can cause a lot more pain to people. And then, of course, with political campaigns, the wrong messages, Wiener in New York. I mean, you just never know where it can go, so you have to be careful living out loud. And then I think there are folks who figured out if you have a governance structure, you have a good communication strategy, and you have a team that understands, the pluses and minuses, generally you can stay out of the weeds and out of trouble.
Well, you've got a great team, I know.
Yes, we do. We have a great team.
So we've just come off a remarkable time of celebration and recognition of Dr. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech in Washington, and I know you were in Washington for that event. How do you feel, and your father worked for Dr. King, how do you feel Dr. King would look at social media?
Well, first, I think he would wonder why we haven't done even more to make change happen. Because if you think back, I've looked at some of my dad's papers. They use mimeograph machines to copy notes to encourage people to come out and show up at churches to hear the messages from Dr. King in rural Montgomery, Alabama, or rural Mississippi. And that was the way that grapevine caught fire around the country and around the world. We didn't have the technological tools we have today, so I think we may be underutilizing and not living up to the capacity that these tools give us. I mean, they were working straight from the stomach, straight from his voice, and the word spread on the human grapevine. So still, I think we've got to figure out how we align, positive, very, very positive messages with the powerful tools that we have at our disposal that are generally free.
But free, but still require strategy and require a lot of human interaction and potential. I mean, I often tell people social's free, but it's not cost free. I mean, it's not, it really requires, it's not very efficient. It requires a lot of real humans in order to be transparent and authentic.
So, and that comes to the team, building the right talent, having the right talent, access to them. They don't necessarily have to be PhDs, but they have to have that PhD level of experience, and they could be 18 years old, they could be 15 years old in some cases, and know how to use the tools effectively. And I think that's really the challenge, to to groups, companies and businesses, governments who are trying to get their message out is finding the right talent. And in often cases, they are in the millennial generation. You can find them and for a lower cost.
A lot of what we're talking about is the adoption of technology by marketing people. And you're obviously coming to politics, but having studied at MIT, I mean,
Yes.
I called you a nerd, forgive me.
Yes, no, I take that as a high compliment.
You should.
Not many people call me that, so thank you.
I mean, and I think if you look at President Obama, he's not afraid of technology, never has been.
Yes.
And when you consider that his predecessor didn't even own a BlackBerry, you know, it's a big statement. So do you think that the next successful level of politicians will be technologically adept?
Absolutely. It'll be seamless in many ways, but still that human connection has to be maintained. Now, if you have great technology, but you don't connect with people, you will still be out of touch. So it still starts at, you know, if you have dinner, don't tweet and text and Facebook when you're sitting to have a meal, you know, unless you kind of give yourselves that 1 minute and then we'll talk. But if you lose that interaction, I think eventually people will be out of touch and they will still not be elected and not be able to engage the population.
Very, very true. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.